Hello and welcome back to the Key Arsenal podcast. It is episode 71 today. I'm your host Matthew Key and I'm delighted to have three lovely co-hosts alongside me. We've got Dad, Cole and Madeline. How are we all doing?
Marvellous.
Good, thank you.
Well, it's been a couple of weeks. Three of us have we're away in lovely Menorca for a week, which was very nice, and we thought we were going to miss some action due to reasons beyond our control. We didn't turn out to miss anything, except perhaps the Zurich game. Bit boring. We won. The Brazilian kid looked good. It was nice to see Eddie score. But yeah, no game then at the weekend, and we've obviously returned this weekend, which we weren't sure if we were going to do, but we did manage to do it, and it's got to be said in some style. And now we got another break due to an international break, which I'm sure we're all very excited about. I see Carl in particular is looking delighted by that prospect. But yeah, a week off, but we've got a game at the weekend to discuss, and as I say, it was a return in some style. Madeline, I know you're a particular fan of or fan isn't the right word. You suffered particularly from the PTSD of last year's trip to Brentford. Not that it was mentioned much, of course, over the build-up and during the game and after the game, of course, but. Yeah, very impressive performance, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think I struggled even more from the PTSD as my housemate is a Brentford season ticket holder and does mark that day down as the best he's had as a Brentford fan. But yeah, no, it would have actually been good if they could mention that more. I'd almost forgotten it happened because they didn't spend any of last year mentioning it either. But no, I thought we were really, really good. It was, to give us the highest amount of credit possible, it was a bit like Man City had rocked up, not in the way that I don't think we quite play as good football as Man City yet, but the control over the game, the not letting a side like Brentford, who are a good side, especially at home, we didn't let them play football. We didn't even let up control of the game at any point. Aaron Ramsdale probably got as bored as Ederson normally does. And I just thought that from front to back, we won every single individual duel, battle. And I don't think there was a fault I could find in our performance, which normally I can, but I couldn't actually. So that was quite nice.
Yeah, Dad, I know you were a bit frustrated with a little yellow card at the end, but that aside, that's pretty much as perfect an away day as you're going to have in the Premier League, isn't it?
I'd have to say, apart from one save Ramsdale made, that was it. I think the word, control, very, very good. We outpressed Brentford, which I think takes some doing, especially at whatever it's called now, the G-Tech, I don't know, whatever it's called, the G-Tech Stadium. Last year it was called the Brentford Community Stadium. So, I thought we played really well. I'll talk later about players to mention, but as a team, and I'm going to use the word team, that was solid. Very, very good. Go on, Carl. You're looking pensive, thoughtful.
No, there's not a lot I can say. You've both covered it, really. I thought the performance was a very good team performance. There was no one went missing. It was really not. It was one of them very few games where you as a supporter you're never really tense. You know, you always think normally even at 3-0 you're thinking, well, if they get a goal back we could, but you never felt that in this game. So yeah, it was great, very good. As I say, Ramsdale, yeah, he done what he needed to do. There's a few other performances, but I'll leave that for later. But yeah, the commitment was there from all. I did want to see Matt Smith get on, I gotta say, but he didn't. I hope he does at some point.
Yeah, well, we'll get on to some individual performances and look into some goals in a sec, because there were a couple of very nice ones. And as you said, Dad, very well-rounded team performance, but just a couple stood out. But and this again comes back to last season. Was that a sort of a statement win? Obviously, all this has been made of we've only played the easy teams, we lost against our first real test and all that rubbish. But to go to a team which, as we've all said, is a very solid team, especially at home, a place where we had a terrible time last year. For a lot of it was factors outside of our control and things that don't get mentioned, but either way, it was a terrible time, and it was a time when we all sort of looked at it and thought could be in for a long season here. But does that show just how much this team has improved with that? That was a sort of win to the rest of the league. That no, we're not just beating teams. We're a very good football team once again. Obviously, we had the Palace one as well at the start of the season, but that, as I say, that given what happened last year, that was an impressive win and a statement to the rest of the league and the media as well.
Yeah, I'd like to say I was disappointed in Brentford, but I'd be lying. I didn't think they posed us a lot of problems. The two lads they got up top, I watched a few weeks back, and they gave Man United the right run round. And United on the day were not very good. The two lads up top, very good. They're a solid team, Brentford. I'm not gonna, I don't want to sound patronising, but they're a solid mid-table team in my opinion. They've got good players. I mean, they're not players that are going to win the Premier League, but they've got good players. They play to a system. The manager knows what he's doing. He sets them up well. And normally they outpress the opposition, especially at home. And we managed to work harder than them. We got control of the game. We scored a couple of very good goals. And I actually thought we showed some bottle. And you talk about, I don't think we got credit for the win at Palace, first game of the season, because everyone was hoping we'd get spanked, especially the media. Hence, they'd chosen, Friday night Arsenal away to Palace because they got turned over there last year. They clearly wanted us playing Brentford on a Sunday afternoon, and they had to move the time because of other reasons. But clearly they wanted that because they thought, we'll watch Arsenal get turned over and we can endlessly go on repeat about how bad we were last year, and not mention we had COVID and everything else. So, I think that's a very, very good win. We got probably tougher tests in the next two games. Not probably, we have. But I think we've shown we're not just going to turn up and be, what's the word I use? Fancy Dans. We're not just going to be flat track bullies. We're going to beat some good teams as well. So if you look at it in that way, we've stood up. We had players missing. I wouldn't have said that was our strongest team. And if you looked on the bench, my first thought was, that looks a bit thin if we had a problem. But they all stood up. A couple of people came in. And look quite good.
Yeah, completely agree with everything you've just said. So for you, Cole, as something I'm sure you'll have enjoyed, Dad saying there about the sky picking out and all that. Is it sort of the highest praise you can give to us? Is that obviously for us it wasn't, but for everyone else watching, it was boring, wasn't it? Because we basically scored 2 goals in the first 25 minutes, had the game wrapped up, and just kept hold of the ball for the rest of it. And it was, we could have scored a couple more, but for everyone else watching as a neutral, it must have been horrible to watch because we were so in control of that game.
It must have been. It's like us watching Man City, and it normally we watch Man City. I watch Man City, and I think, oh, they've scored. That's it. Game over. Turn it over. Watch Songs of Praise instead. You know, 'cause it's like there's be a bit more action in it. And that's what it was. It was great. We made that pitch look so big. I was asking the kids, do you know what the dimensions are? Because it looks massive, but it only looked massive when we had the ball. It didn't look that big when they had the ball, and that's the biggest compliment I could say to the Arsenal players on that pitch is they made that pitch look small for Brentford, and it looked enormous for us. It looked like we just had the freedom, and they didn't. Oh, they can't get up for it because it's a midday kickoff. Was one of the nonsense things that the Sly commentators were saying. It was, oh please, oh their fans are they're a bit quiet. That's because they're getting stuffed, mate. And it doesn't take a lot when you're watching a game like that. And we've been there at Arsenal when we've got stuffed in the first 30 minutes. It's just it's a library, and it's not just at Arsenal that happens. It's everywhere. You're getting stuff like that. You just go, oh God, what are you going to do about this? There is no way we're coming back because and Brentford fans knew it was our day, and yeah, I think that did set a little bit of a benchmark, and I think some teams will look at that and they'll be trying to work out a different plan. How are we going to do that? Are they going to try let's have a word with the old Mike Riley, they don't like it Upham crowd, because I can't. We're a tough team to play against. I think we could actually mix it. Sort of most of our players could mix it, as long as we don't get the Stoke thing where they were allowed to kick us and we weren't allowed to kick them type thing. Stoke on Man United. But I think we've got a few mixers in there, a few tough little boys. But yeah, it was. As I say, that's the biggest compliment I give to them is that the pitch looked enormous when we had the ball.
And for you, Madeline, Dad mentioned about Brentford not being at their best and sort of as normally they were sort of right, Sky, that the crowd are normally up for it. It didn't have anything to do with the 12 o'clock kickoff or the fact that the Queen had died. It was because we were really good is why the crowd were quiet, which Sky didn't quite acknowledge. But after the game, Thomas Frank didn't have a go at his players or anything like that. He just sort of held his hands up and appreciated that his team had been well beaten by a team much better than him. He doesn't strike me as the type of bloke to come out and berate players after the game, whether or not he had a quiet word in the dressing room after, we don't know. But the fact he's given us praise shows we must be doing something right, because he's just basically acknowledged that they've been beaten by a team he expects to be up there at the end of the season.
I think you can measure our success or how good we are largely in the reactions of other people. And if we use Thomas Frank as our first example, there was an acceptance of. I think he actually said we needed to put a 10 out of 10 and they needed to not put in an 8 out of 10, basically. And I don't think there was a single player on the pitch that put in less than an 8 out of 10. And I think you can also tell how good we are at the moment in the fact that no one wants to give us any credit, and therefore they search for every other excuse as to why it can't be anything to do with our performance that's good, but instead it has to be something else. That is generally the measure of how good we are, because it's annoying people and they can't quite bring themselves to admit that we're any good. So, you know, it is. I get Sky's perspective of us winning 3-0 it's not going to bring the crowds in, because anyone other than Arsenal fans, as you said, would have been bored. And obviously, Brentford going 2-0 up, a lot of people might then turn over and go, "Oh, this might be a good game. Arsenal might lose." But yeah, there was sort of that acceptance that, again, we tend to have when we play the likes of Man City or even Liverpool, and just go, do you know what? At the end of the day, they are better than us, and there's not a lot we can do about it. And there was that, not only from him but from almost their players after we'd gone 1-2-0 up, and they sort of thought, "Oh, do you know what? I'll save me energy. There's no point." The crowd sort of thought, "What's the point? I'll have a nice chat with the person next to me." They'd probably got an M&S picnic to tuck into or something. But I think I spoke about, obviously, the control earlier. It has slightly developed from a very frantic 15 minutes where we absolutely come out the blocks and every ball is chased down at 100 miles an hour, to just, you're not getting the ball off us. I remember when Dad came back from us playing Barca once and said they wouldn't give us our ball back because they had knocked it round for 90 minutes and we had run round for 90 minutes. That's what we almost seem to be doing. There's the control, and a lot of that stems from the 2-3 in midfield, and probably one centre-back in particular, who I'm sure we'll move on to later. We are killing teams within 5 minutes, even if we haven't scored, because you can't score if you ain't got the ball, and we're not giving them it. So I think right now, if I said it, this is probably in my lifetime the best I've seen an Arsenal team. Obviously, I can't say I've exactly seen the highs of the glory days that that Dan and Carl have, but it's
Alex James,
positive.
Cliff Bastin, Ted Drake, we know them all.
So, yeah, I think there's just, it's that control, and it just sucks the life out of players, teams, fans, whatever, that really has impressed me the last few weeks, I would say.
Yeah, once again, completely agree. Yeah, we'll move on then to some individuals and some goals. First, I'd just like to raise the point that even in this game where we've, as we say, completely dominated a team in a very impressive performance, even now we haven't escaped the wrath of the media, of course, because obviously it's disrespectful to tweet something that one of their players tweeted last year because they're a much smaller team than us. So for us to, that's obviously not allowed.
And obviously, it wasn't fair to bring on a 15-year-old for his debut.
No,
that was not allowed.
This is one I've just seen. Danny Murphy's had a pop at us for bringing a 15-year-old instead of some other kid that could have come on who'd been a bit older. And of course, Granit Xhaka, he's an irritating bloke, according to Mr. Garth Crooks of the BBC. So yeah, he's not allowed to play well. No, he's overly aggressive, so he's not allowed to play well.
I heard he was confrontational as well, Matthew.
Yeah, he shouldn't be wearing the shirt, let alone the armband. So
yeah, he should have left ages ago. That's how I feel about Garth Crooks. Actually, I wish he'd have been emigrated to Australia a number of years back. That tool, he's just so bad.
I see some people try and predict what his team of the week is going to be every week because he just has no logic or formation to it whatsoever. But
I'm surprised, even though United didn't play, I'm surprised there wasn't a United player in there. because there normally is for no apparent reason. He did get a Spurs player in there, which is fair dues. But yeah, he's just a tool. He's always been an half-wit. He's like Chris Sutton, but at least Chris Sutton actually makes a bit of sense. You know, he's a bit controversial, Chris Sutton is, but he makes a bit of sense with it, and he'll tell you why he's saying what he's saying, albeit in a sort of a controversial way. Garth Crooks is just a knob. He's just nothing. Vacuous.
But yeah, anyway, let's get into the goals then. And the first goal was obviously a lovely towering header from Saliba. There's not really anything else to say about him at the minute that we haven't already said. He's just absolutely brilliant. What we probably is more worth talking about him for the third goal. But let's start with the second. And Dad, the nice bit of build up to start with, but then the ball from Mr. Xhaka over the top is quite sensational, and I'm not sure Jesus got enough credit for
I have to say,
whacking those neck muscles through the ball.
I have to say, I didn't think Jesus got enough credit for that header because he put some muscle into that. It was a fantastic header. Of fair play to Xhaka. What a ball. Left foot, it was. I mean, it was. The keeper can't come for it because it's coming away from him. It's perfect. And when you got somebody like Jesus, and I'm glad he scored, not just because I want Arsenal to win, but I thought the last couple of games he's deserved a goal and not got a goal. And he got the goal he deserves, and fair play to him. But a fantastic header. The ball and the build-up play, really good. Good build-up to that goal. We've moved the ball around well. And then Xhaka's little left foot swinging away from the keeper. Jesus header. I'm sure if it had been the other way around, somebody would have gone, where's the centre half? Why isn't he kicking his head off? But no. So, good goal. I think the Brentford keeper's a decent keeper and he didn't get near it. So, yeah. Do you want to talk about the third goal?
Well, who wants to? Who fancies it, Madeline or Carl? Madeline. Oh, you've got it, Madeline. I've heard you've hit a few of them with your left foot in your time, so you can talk us through it.
Me. I absolutely. That's my trademark, Matthew. If we start from the beginning, it's a lovely turn away from the defender from William Saliba. Someone should probably tell some kids on a Sunday league pitch that's the time to use it, rather than in random pointless situations where it doesn't get you anywhere, rather than just slowing you down. And then obviously move forward. Nice bit of play. Can't actually remember completely who it was between, but I know the ball got to Saka at some point. And for one of his finest assists in his Arsenal career, it's a beautifully weighted ball to Fabio Vieira, who swings a left peg at it. I'm sure Dad almost thought it was Odegaard hitting that strike. That was after he'd finished crying over the fact that he wasn't fit for the game. But yeah, obviously off the post, doesn't get much better than off the post. I think it was good to see that he had the confidence to go for it. To be fair, Odegaard might not have actually had a shot, and no doubt he would have tried to pass to someone, just to the sheer hell of passing it. Love you though, Martin. But no, it was nice to see someone have a dig from outside the box. It was nice to see him go for it as well. Clearly got the confidence, and looks like he personally looks like a really tiny player and a really, really lovely goal. And he looked really happy to have scored it, which made me really happy. So yeah, I think he might be another one that goes quite firmly into the fan favourites soon.
And he's already got a chance, would you believe?
And who would have thought?
Who would have thought that? Yeah. That was a tough one to
Someone's
work out.
been working hard on that one, haven't they? Honestly, working night and day to fit that in.
Well, couple of points on that. The first thing is that was the only mistake Saliba made during the whole game. He let the ball run across him, and this is how you feel as a Brentford player. Oh, I've got a chance. Lovely little bit of skill. I think it was a 1-2 with Partey. Passed it off to Vieira, who passed it on to Saka, passed it back to Vieira, back of the net. I mean, it's just a great goal. It was a great goal. But that Saliba, you know, I felt there was a couple of times. There was one time they done there was a very good ball that came through from one of the Brentford players, and I can't think of who it was. And where he seemed to have switched off against United for one of the goals. He was right there this time, and he intercepted it. Yeah, I thought it was outrageous. Sorry, I've jumped in here a little bit, Matt, but he was outrageous. I don't know how else to describe it. How old is he? 21.
Yeah.
No, he's getting on a bit.
No, 22. He's old.
Oh, he's really old. He's ancient.
Yeah,
he's ancient.
He'll be playing his last few games shortly, I'd imagine.
He would have been out of kindergarten where he was born. Jesus. Anyway, yeah. So he's every game you look at him, you think, "Ooh, he's getting better." You know, you're seeing a more of him. You're making a firmer judgment now, and a firmer judgment is saying that was money well spent.
And you can all stop panicking. He does fit in the age restrictions. He's only 21.
Oh, that's all right then.
That's all right then.
I thought he was over the top. Well, he'd have to go on to 1-year contract soon if he's not careful.
Shall I tell you the other one that didn't get the praise he did was Ben White. How many times he ran down that line, didn't necessarily get the ball.
Absolutely. If he had any, honestly, if it wasn't so much competition at centre half for England, you know, like Harry Maguire, you'd think he'd be straight in anyone else's team. But unfortunately, he's got Big Harry in his way, who's obviously a superb player. Doesn't put a foot wrong for Man United, mainly because he doesn't get in the team. But yeah, he was fantastic again. And may I just say, and I'll shut up then, Kieran Tierney was also rather good. And it was really nice. I was so pleased for him. But I don't think he put a foot wrong. He was involved in the goal for Jesus. It was him and Xhaka, little 1-2.
Yeah.
And he puts a shift in.
And he almost looked back to his best, didn't he, Carl?
Yeah. He looked fit, healthy. Looked like he's now had a few games, which he has. And yeah, he's getting there. Pretty sharpish as well.
Wait till Steve Clark's rinsed him this week.
Yeah, because obviously Robertson, because all the Liverpool players who play for England are fit this week, which is the first time in about 3 years since the last big tournament. 2 years, I suppose. But the Scottish ones obviously aren't involved in the World Cup, so he's not fit for Scotland, Robertson.
Yeah, let's talk a bit more Granit Xhaka then. It's the Hollywood story you never saw coming, and the redemption arc that can only be sort of replicated and mirrored by Severus Snape and Anakin Skywalker. It's been absolutely incredible. I remember, back nearly bang on 3 years ago, me and Dad were sitting in Wembley Stadium, watching some NFL, reading about, oh God, he's thrown his shirt off, he's taken his shirt off, he's told the crowd where to go, he's strolled off the pitch, he's never going to play for us again. I mean, where we were all at that point with him, I'm not sure. For me, it's always been, as long as he looks like he cares, and as long as his performances are good, I'm more than happy to let him be here. But it's so much more than that, because he was almost sold to Roma for about 12 million quid. some of which you were almost thinking, well, it's a rubbish bid, but you might as well cut your losses and stuff like that. But where we are now, he's just, well, firstly, he's in a new position, which clearly helps him. And secondly, he's become a pretty integral part of the team. And something that I don't think he gets the credit for as much is he literally never misses a game. And the most important attribute you can have for a footballer is fitness and availability. And he is always fit and available. Madeline, did you... Well, I don't think you can say you ever saw it coming, but how would you sum up the situation, and how happy are you for Xhaka, who also, by the way, looks so happy with the way the situation has turned out?
Yeah, I think I maybe stuck up for him slightly more than you and Dad did, because I think I always saw him and he did make stupid decisions, and I could see that, but I did feel as though it came from the right place. And I remember feeling, as much as I was annoyed at him after the incident, I think it was at home to Palace, I did feel a bit for him, because I felt like if it was any other player, he probably wouldn't have been booed. But I obviously watched the All or Nothing and saw the clips with his family, and he genuinely seems like a really nice bloke, and it was it was obviously the Euros. He had a really, really good tournament for Switzerland, and we probably sat there after the France game, Matthew, and said, why the hell does he never play like this for us? Well, I worked it out. He was playing in the wrong position. He does look a bit more mobile than he has in previous seasons. I don't know whether he's changed diet or whatever. Because especially at the weekend, he was able to track back and get in front of a man rather than track back and have to foul him in order to break up the play. And maybe that's other people helping him out as well. But I genuinely, his face, if you've seen the clip after he realises the away crowd are singing about him at the end of the game, is so lovely, because he's clearly always wanted. I think it's hard when a player comes from Germany, and the environment in Germany with the crowd is slightly different. They're nuts, to say the least. You know, they jump around, they sing for 90 minutes. They have massive flags, and they all jump in sync as well. Obviously, don't have that here in England. And he's almost looked like a man that, for however long he's been at Arsenal, he's been almost craving the love from Arsenal fans, and he's been trying to do everything. He's almost been trying too hard to get it from them, and now everything's almost just clicked into place for him. He's playing unbelievably. I said to Dad earlier, if he got injured, that would be, for us, I don't even want to think of the situation. But as you say, even when he does get injured, I think he got injured last year, and he came back within a week, and he should have been out for about 4 or 5. So
touch some wood, Madeline.
Oh, there's my bookshelf. It's all right.
Chipboard.
And I think you can't doubt the commitment he's given to the club. Obviously, we could have taken that bid. Every manager that's been here has also selected him, which I always think, maybe if I can't see it with a player at the time, there must be a reason. Clearly, there was a reason. And with such a young side, I think his importance is, he's even more integral, because he provides that experience that a lot of them don't have, that leadership that a lot of them don't have yet, and just that stability in the middle of the park. And I'm actually just so happy for him, because seeing how happy he is, I said about Vieira looking happy to be here. You don't want anyone that looks miserable, and he doesn't look miserable one bit. So yeah, I'm really, really happy for him, and long may it continue for himself and largely for us.
Arsene Wenger years ago said, "Oh, I think he's a box-to-box player," and I laughed. I thought, "It's just nonsense. He has lost the plot, Wenger. He's not a box-to-box player." Well, he's actually proving me wrong. Again, it's a small sample. It's not a huge amount of games, but it's enough to be able to see there is a change. You're right. There might be a change in diet as well. He's obviously feeling the love of the crowd. He's feeling the love of the manager. That's for sure. He's given Arteta a lot of credit for his for still being here. He left a lovely little Instagram message, I think it was, which I've seen. Not on Instagram because I'm not on it, but I've seen it. And I thought, well, that's a nice little thing to just post. You don't have to post stuff like that. And I know there's PR and everything else, but he just seemed genuinely happy. And don't go and spoil it by getting sent off against Spurs, but he probably will.
Yeah, that would be just typical after us heaping all this praise on him. Dave, you've got to say though, currently the only problem with him is he's putting up the average age by a couple of years. But other than that,
he has to go to the bar when they all go out. He's the only one old enough. If they go and talk to the stage, that's it, mate. They're stuffed. Iced tea all round.
iced tea. Do you think he's the designated driver as well?
Oh yeah, he would. Most of them can't hire a car in the States either. So there you go. So yeah, I think you're all right about Xhaka. I've definitely had my moments with him, and I thought he looks something. I've had my moments of despair with him. I look at it, you know, I didn't like when he took his shirt off. I don't like to see a player, no matter what, giving the crowd some back. I don't think you should do that, but you know, it takes something to come back.
It does.
And I'm looking at Carl, and there's plenty of players in the past who haven't necessarily quite gone as far as Xhaka, but have taken the stick of the crowd, and they've never come back from it, Carl. I've seen players absolutely killed at Highbury, and to an extent at the Emirates. You know, the crowd have all had someone. Yeah. And he's not the only, he's not the only one. I look at other players in the past, and you think that they've been, not chased. That's not the term, but their exit's been accelerated by how they've interacted with the crowd.
Yep.
And he's had enough about him to keep going. So fair play to the man,
Ironically, as we've been talking about Granit, don't worry, he's not done anything bad. He's done his, I don't know if you know what the Players' Tribune is. Basically an article where the players kind of talk about a certain situation or whatever. And he's literally talking about the situation when Arteta was brought in, and he says that his suitcases were packed by the door. His own words, it's very difficult to change my mind. And obviously Arteta did. And he said, Mikel and I didn't speak about my future again because after 6 months I was happy. Today I know I made the right decision, absolutely. So I think that's quite nice.
That is nice. Well, obviously I'm selfish. I hope it works for him, but I genuinely hope it works for him on a personal level, never mind our Arsenal supporting level.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've got sort of an interesting question about previously is why has it taken so long to unlock this Granit Xhaka?
He was good last year. Last year.
How long has he been? So 2016 he joined just after the Euros. So we're talking, 6 years now. He's probably our longest serving player, by the way, as well. But Why does it take a good 4 or 5 years to get this Xhaka? That's not a criticism of him at all, but
I don't think it's his fault. I think it's just the way where we've been playing him. We've all seen this player play for Switzerland, who's really, really good.
Yep.
And we've all seen the pundits saying, well, you know, the Premiership is a step up from playing for Switzerland, which it is. But it's been an eye opener seeing how well he's played. I'd say there's still a small sort of set of games, 7 games. You know, it's not the hugest, but yeah, if he can keep that going for a few more games, you know, if he can keep that sort of that form consistent, then we'll all be happy, and so will he. And it's easier playing the style he's playing in the team he's playing in at the moment. Yeah, the team that he was under Emery and under Wenger in the latter years was a bit pokey, to say the least. What we've seen over the last 18 months or 2 years near enough now, where it started to mature, is quite incredible from where we was. That we were still declining when Arteta comes in, we're still declining, and there's a noticeable sort of bottoming out of it, and even then there's been a few little bumps in the road. But from the start of last season, after them first 3 or 4 games, where you know there was you can make excuses if we want, but I'm not going to bother. It's pretty much been an upward curve since. There's been some bumps. There was a bump at the end of last season, but yeah, and he's been an integral part of that whole move forwards, and he has character.
Yeah.
To be fair, although we've maybe not seen this form, we've never maybe doubted his importance, because Matthew, I know we've had many conversations before we'd seen this version of Xhaka, and we'd said he's not good enough, but without him, we're not good enough, because every time he didn't play, we lost.
Yeah.
And I think that it makes a difference when there's that stability around him. He has his role. He's not being moved around that midfield anymore to try and accommodate where someone, like when Partey was out, maybe last year, what we would have done, well, what we did do last year when Partey was injured, was Xhaka went in his role, Odegaard dropped back, Smith Rowe went in the 10. Whereas obviously when Partey was injured recently, it was Lokonga went and did Partey's role, and Xhaka carried on doing his, which I also think makes a difference, because if you can turn up every week and you know what you're going to be asked to do, you haven't got to work out whether you're going to play as 1-6 or an 8 or whatever. So I think that makes a difference, and maybe
Or play left back.
Or play at left back. But ironically, if you went for the second most common position you'd find him in this formation, it's probably at left back. As Kieran Tierney pops up at the penalty spot at the weekend, I'm thinking, God, who's in the left back position?
I think you're fine, Madeline. You didn't realise it was Kieran Tierney until we'd watched it on Match of the Day, and I was like, oh my God, it actually was him. I said I thought it was him, but I generally wasn't sure. No, my opinion on him is that I've always thought he's going to be a very good squad player, not necessarily a starter in sort of a title-winning team. A sort of more important than a Holding or an El Nene, so more minutes than that, but that sort of role. But now I look at him and I genuinely think a few years ago, well, 2-3 years ago, I could have given you a list of however many players that I thought he'd be better than Jack, but now based on obviously the style of play and the transfer policy and what have you, the only name that sticks out to me, that jumps out to me as someone that, yeah, I'd put Xhaka on the bench for him is Jude Bellingham, which seems silly to say, but apart from that, I really can't think of many. Maybe Frankie.
Who, for reference, Jude Bellingham, I would still like us to sign him in the
Yeah,
summer.
100%. This is what I'm saying. If you offered me them, I'd say yeah, I'd put him, Xhaka, on the bench for them, and maybe Frankie De Jong as well. But I think he's a slightly different player. But that's the level I'm talking about. But yeah, that's Granit Xhaka, that's Brentford, and as we say, get a couple. Well, this weekend off, and then it's the big one. We'll see how that goes. Right, we've got a couple more exciting things today. We've got Dad has very kindly provided this week's quiz for the first time, so we look forward to that. But
hey, something from the 70s coming up.
I was about to say, Matthew,
chance.
you're not slightly concerned about the questions that could come up in this
Ted
quiz?
Drake, that's the answer. David Jack.
You know what? I'd be less scared if Carl was doing the quiz, because I'm not sure Dad has ever won a single one, but Carl has a couple of times. So yeah, it's a bit nervy.
There's one other thing from the weekend. My favourite moment, bar the 3 goals, the referee falling over.
Oh, it was brilliant, wasn't it?
It was great, and they didn't show it again. I was like, "Why aren't you showing that?" It's such a great moment.
It's the brilliant way that it just gets a universal cheer from everyone in the crowd as well. Can't beat it.
Yeah, it's great.
Before we go on to that, Matthew, I want to talk about the Arsenal ladies.
I was literally just going to go into that. I've got one more
Not to be
thing.
pedantic, but they're actually the Arsenal women, not ladies.
Oh, sorry.
I thought they were just Arsenal.
No, they're Arsenal women.
But I was literally just about to go into that.
Okay.
And last thing about on the Brentford game is this is your opportunity now for any jokes about the 15-year-old we brought on. Obviously there's some great chants, but if you've kept any remarks or anything back, is your opportunity.
I don't know if you saw Badly Drawn Arsenal. They do a picture of every Arsenal player. Badly Drawn Arsenal pictures him in a nappy. I just thought that was just absolutely outstanding. Brilliant on Ars blog. The character is now in a nappy.
There's been some incredible ones. The fact you couldn't get changed with everyone else is superb.
True. In fact, he's another public schoolboy as well. Although obviously there's a deal going on there.
Yeah, I think I read an article. He had to do he obviously they're on a scholarship, and obviously lots of players from top flight clubs try and fight it out to get to it. And he was 10, and they told him he had to get off the pitch because no one else could touch the ball. And this was other players also playing at academies.
Yeah.
So my favourite one was the fact that he was 12 when COVID started.
Yeah, that's a good one. This is just for us, but I quite like the fact Madeline was refereeing some kids the same age as him at the weekend as well, which is quite funny. And my favourite one of all is the fact that James Milner had already made 100 Premier League appearances the day he was born, which is for them to still be playing in the same realm of time is quite incredible. But yeah, well, interesting to see how he.
The fact he's got more facial hair than Matthew.
Yeah, that's good as well. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on him. I'm sure he'll be in a couple of the Europa League squads.
We had.
He's not allowed to play in the Europa League. He's too young.
You have to be 16.
You have to be 16.
Oh. Is that right? I'd mentioned the other week though about his performance was outrageous against Spurs at under 18s. They just chucked him in the under 21 straight away, didn't they?
And the under 21s, he got a really nice assist as well.
He did indeed, little chip. And it's good for him. There's a game tonight actually. I don't know if he's playing tonight.
Papa John's. I don't think he is. No.
I haven't looked.
No, I didn't notice his name there, but yeah, we might play against Brighton in the League Cup. I didn't know he wasn't allowed to play in the Europa League. I didn't know that was a thing.
I don't know if anyone's watched the documentary, the Inside Hale End one.
I have indeed.
But
I've been watching the first 4.
It's from last year. So he's about 14 in it, and they've gone, they go, oh, he's quite good, by the way. We're expecting him to do well, and you've got all the other boys stressing about their scholarships. I mean, he's not stressed one bit. So
yeah, definitely some we'll continue to keep an eye on. But yeah, Madeline, do you want to take the floor and talk about the ladies? Obviously, their first game, delayed first game against Brighton, a Champions League game tonight, and then the sort of big one, the North London derby at the Emirates. 45,000 over net tickets sold now. So yeah.
Obviously went to Meadow Park. It's actually my first time at Meadow Park. You can see Arsenal have invested in it because of non-league grounds I've been to, which it now stands at 2. It was far nicer than the other one. No one wanted to get involved with my chant of cheerio when the Brighton defender got sent off, which I thought was a slight shame, but maybe understandable. But I thought girls looked a little bit rusty in the first half. Probably could have been 8-0 up. But I thought Kim Little in the midfield was an absolute joke, as per. I don't know how old she is now, but she just
48.
Age like fine wine, I think is the phrase.
Yeah.
Really, really solid at the back, which I thought was important. And Chelsea lost this weekend, and so did Man City, so that put me in a cracking mood. Obviously, Champions League tonight against Ajax. I am expecting the Viviana Miedema hat-trick, seeing as she's a Feyenoord fan, and what greater motivation do you need? And obviously, North London derby on Saturday. Hopefully, they can get to 50,000 tickets. It will obviously be a record attendance for a WSL game. And they've not even had to give any of these tickets away for free, which is always good. Hopefully there should be a good atmosphere. I went to the one last year and I was delighted to see Arsenal fans booing the Tottenham penalty. That was right the spirit I could get into. So hoping for more of that. And yeah, obviously start of another WSL season, hopefully going to be bigger than last season. Should win at least one trophy this year. Me and Matthew have obviously worked it out. It's win every game and don't lose to Chelsea, and the league title's yours, which is admittedly easier said than done. But it looks like a really competitive season, full stop. And fingers crossed the girls can bring home a second league title of the season, because obviously the boys are going to bring one home as well. So yeah, it's going to be a good season, hopefully, full of trophies, goals, and record attendances with any luck. So yeah.
I think
are you three going?
No, Madeline's going.
I'm going.
Madeline's going. I'm away, unfortunately, but yeah, it's a shame. But yeah, definitely gonna try and catch as much of it as I can, and hopefully we'll go on, Dad.
Was going to be on the amount of tickets sold, Carl. They've sold 45,000 plus tickets in advance. That's what it was yesterday. I don't know if it still is, Madeline. Which shows, I know it's, I don't know how many Tottenham fans will be there.
There is actually an away section for the Spurs fans for the first time ever, which is good.
So, but I thought 45,000 tickets, Cole. That shows.
We wouldn't be able to fit them in Highbury, would we?
No, there's an interesting thought.
That is an interesting thought.
You wouldn't be able to fit them in Chelsea. Or Leicester.
Yeah, it's a very good attendance. I assume it's a tenner or maybe 20 quid, depending on where you are. I don't know.
Yeah.
It'll be a bit cheaper, but nonetheless, if you look at it from a revenue point, if it's a tenner a ticket, that's 450 grand. That's paying a heck of a lot of the wages off, and then enabling the club to self-sufficiently support better wages and a better quality of player, in effect, really. For the
ticket is?
Sorry?
15 quid a ticket.
15 quid a ticket. So there you go. 650 grand straight in the pot there.
Which
a lot of wedge for the ladies. I don't know what if there's any caps on wages or money, but 650 grand. That's going to pay. I don't know how much the top player is on, but that's going to pay a lot of wage, I reckon.
Yeah, it's also that thing of it keeps players and makes players want to come. You know, people want to play in stadiums that have a lot of people in them.
Indeed.
And if you can, you go back to the example of Miedemar, if you can keep her at the club by, you know, really big attendances at the Emirates, as opposed to going somewhere where she might play in front of not as many people, I think it does make a difference for them. And obviously,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
it's not just her though, Madeline. If you're you know, using your logic, and I do use your logic, you know, Beth Mead, top scorer in the Euros.
Yeah.
She's up for the Ballon d'Or. If you're telling me other clubs in Europe aren't knocking on the door, including Man City, by the way, Carl, who wouldn't be shy at chucking a few quid at it.
Yeah.
But you're getting 40-odd thousand. I mean, I'm not saying every game, but 4 or 5 times a season plus.
If we can play the Champions League matches and half a dozen or 4 or 5 matches outside in the league against, you know, Tottenham, Chelsea, Man City, Man United, Liverpool, and get 20,000 plus for them games at the Emirates, it makes it worthwhile hosting it at the Emirates. So that anything over 15,000 makes it worth hosting at the Emirates, because you can actually. It can make a noise and make it worthwhile, and it can make the difference to the players. Right, but you know, this is a special one. This 45, but I reckon they can do. They can match that for Chelsea, I'm sure, with a bit of marking. Certainly, Man United as well. But yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, it'll take off for them, and good luck to them. And from a revenue point of view as well, you know, with the old finance there on, that's really good for the team and for the club, for the women's part of the club, like, because it makes them less
dependent,
makes them more independent, I think is the word I'm looking for, rather than less dependent. Good on them. Now go and stuff
absolutely.
Yeah, I was about to say, make sure
definitely.
we
win. Yeah, absolutely. But tonight is also a massive game for them, because they've got to get least in the group stages of the Champions League. And I assume will we be a pot 2 team, Madeline, if we get through?
No, I think it's really weird. We could potentially, I think, it's slightly dependent on who goes through. I think we can actually go in as a pot 1 club if we win, but I would need to check that, because it's the same stupid rules as obviously the men's Champions League, where they put a lot on
stuff.
coefficients and you did well in this competition 10 years ago, so there you go, there's a pot 1 draw for you. But yeah, obviously, hopefully this year we can start to go a bit further in the Champions League. I know we've been adopting some of the methods that the likes of Barcelona have been using in playing against the men's academy sides and stuff, to get the extra physicality that maybe we don't get when you play in the WSL and other leagues, especially the German league. It's a lot more physical.
And there's a point to be paid there. They played the under-16s and then they got bashed a bit, although they didn't have a few of their players. Now we know the level of the players who are playing for the under-16s. He just made his debut on Sunday. So, yeah, we'll take that one with a little bit of a pinch. So,
yeah, and yeah, let's hope they avoid Barcelona again, because don't want to play them. But yeah, enjoy it the weekend, Madeline. Hopefully it's a fantastic result, and hopefully they get a good one tonight.
Is it on the box? Is it on the box tonight?
It's on Arsenal. Arsenal.com again.
It's not on BT.
I don't. Yeah, they normally. Yeah, it's normally DAZN, isn't it?
On DAZN, so it's free, so everyone can watch it.
All right.
The only trouble is, Carl, when you watch a game from Meadow Park, they've got one camera.
Oh, it's horrendous. We did watch it the other day. It was horrible. But yeah, let's hand over to you, Dad. I'm
Well,
very excited for this quiz
you should
of the
be.
day,
You
and
look on his face.
you can explain how it works.
Well, I thought, seeing as we had our youngest ever player, I'd start off by quiz of the week, the oldest players ever to appear for Arsenal.
Right, and how do you want us to do it?
You can just shout them out as you want, Matthew, or
Is-
Madeline, or Carl.
Shall we-
All right,
Well-
do you want me to shout out now?
Shall we?
Yeah.
I was going to say, shall we take it in turns? Carl, you go first.
How many do you want? What's
Well,
the
give me
age?
the oldest player, all three of you. Who's the oldest player ever to play for Arsenal?
I got a name.
He would have played in about 1945 or something.
It's an outfield player.
No, not necessarily.
You see,
Mm,
Pat Jennings was getting on a bit when he played.
I was gonna guess Pat Jennings.
I was going to go for Bob Wilson because
But
he
there's
always
also-
looked quite old.
So I think Pat Jennings was around about 40. Might have been a bit older. Johnny Hollins, I'm going to go for.
Hold on. What's your guess?
John Hollins.
Pat Jennings.
Bob Wilson.
I'm slightly surprised because I'm looking at you two and you've seen this bloke play for Arsenal.
Who's you two? Me and Matthew.
Yep.
Oh, and
Yeah.
Carl, I would have
But I
thought.
would have presumed Carl.
Well, obviously
probably as
Carl,
well.
yeah.
But I didn't watch Bob
What is
Wilson
it,
play.
David
So...
Seaman or
No, I didn't watch him.
Jens Lehmann?
Sol
No,
Campbell?
he weren't Jens Lehmann, surely. He was
David
younger than
Seaman, for your information, Carl, is number 4 on the list.
that. Right.
Shall I help you a bit more? He was 39, 7 months and 28 days old.
That wasn't much of a clue in the nicest way possible.
I'm
Yeah.
saying you've got to look for somebody older than David Seaman.
Well, I think
Is it
Johnny
Petr
Hollins
Cech?
was, weren't he?
Now, Petr Cech was about 33. I've seen him play.
Well, it can't be a goalkeeper because goalkeepers
Yeah.
in my lifetime, you've got Lehmann,
Peter Cech, or
Almunia,
Petr Cech, is number
yeah.
10 on the list.
the 10. Yeah, Cech,
And he was
Szczesny,
37
37.
and 5 days.
And it's not Sol Campbell.
It's
'Cause
not
I've watched
Sol
him play.
Campbell.
Yeah, he did play
He came
In
back,
about-
didn't he?
played
Yeah.
against Porto in the Champions League, I remember.
Is Cole playing hide and seek with his granddaughter?
Oh,
Or...
just over the mayor. Just trying to think of who it can be. I'm a bit upset that I can't
Can I-
think of it.
Can I throw a name here?
You can throw a name.
Is-
Yeah.
This isn't number 1, by the way, but is Thierry on there?
That's what I
No.
was thinking.
No.
No,
He was-
I'm having done some research today. I'm amazed how many older players we've had.
I mean, what? So we're talking. This person could literally be he could literally be Ethan Nwaneri's dad,
And he's in your era as well, by the
and
sound
he's
of
in
it.
my era.
Be his dad.
can't.
Be his dad and some.
I don't think it's a goalkeeper unless there's someone that literally played for us a couple of times as sort of a.
It's going to be a goalkeeper, and I've just completely got a blank on it.
Ditto Manone.
No.
I'm just naming goalkeepers.
Mark Poom, something like
Is David Jack on the list?
that. Oh, have I got a story on him? But there you go. That's not for online.
So the oldest player ever to play for Arsenal was a goalkeeper.
Was a goalkeeper.
So,
I
Who
hate
have
to
I
tell
missed?
you, Matthew, Madeline,
Who have I
Obviously, Carl.
missed?
You have seen this bloke play,
What,
and
live
I'm
in
going to
flesh?
say numerous times.
Almunia?
No, stupid guess.
Holy agony. Now you know how I feel each week. You know.
I said Jens, but that's not where it was.
Jens Lehmann is the answer.
I said Jens.
Sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, he
Ah.
said Jens Lehmann.
Jens
And I
Lehmann.
went through all the goalkeepers and said,
He
well, I saw
was
Jens Lehmann.
41 and 5
Really?
months.
How old
You
was
said
John?
he was 39.
No, that was whoever was number 4. Was it Peter Cech was 39 or something, wasn't it?
No,
Just
37.
jealousy.
David Seaman was 39.
39.
Oh,
How old was Johnny Hollins?
He's not even made it into the top 12. I think he was about 36, John Hollins.
Okay.
Do you want to guess? And this is really probably only Carl will guess. The oldest outfield player.
Leslie Compton.
Second oldest outfield player.
Oh,
That's
look
a
at that.
great shout.
You know why I went for that? He because obviously Dennis Compton's brother. It's a bit of history with the two of them. But he
Bit of
made his
real cream.
debut for England at cricket when he was about
Yeah.
37, didn't he? But he'd already played football for England at that point. Who else would it be? It's going to be more recent. Is it more recent? Is it in my lifetime? Yeah.
No.
Oh right. Well, in that case,
No, not in your lifetime. No.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure I've got a chance of getting that. Then I'm afraid.
Joe Mercer.
I was just about to say that. Joe Mercer, bloody thing. Because we bought him, and he was really old and an older player at that point. Oh, good grief! Did we buy him
The 10 oldest players.
Did we buy him from
Lehmann.
City?
Yes. Lehmann. Lukic.
Hey, John Lukic, good call.
Pat Jennings. David Seaman. Joe Mercer. Leslie Compton. Lee Dixon.
Yeah, I knew he'd be up there.
Martin Keown.
Yeah,
I knew Keown be up there.
George Swindon. Another goalkeeper.
yeah, and went on to be the manager.
Yeah. Petr Cech. Number 11 is Dennis Bergkamp.
Diddly, diddly, diddly.
Okay, so having gone through, we know who the youngest is. Give me number 2 youngest player to make his
Tess
debut.
Fabregas.
Yeah,
Very good.
We knew that. Wilshire's 3.
Yeah.
Who else should be down there?
Oh,
gotta be
number
up there.
4.
David
Number
O'Leary
4.
was very young, as was Adams and Keown were very young as well.
Number
Adams-
4.
Rocky as
Definitely-
well. Was that up there?
Definitely played in your lifetime, Madeline.
Definitely played in
Sanchez,
my...
what? Is he on there?
No,
J. Emmanuel Thomas, is he on there?
no.
Lansbury.
No, Lansbury was on the bench. Is it Lansbury?
No.
Because you got Coquelin as well as Frimpong.
He's also quite high up on the list.
As
Is
well as-
gotta be
Saka
up
on the
there.
list? Saka's got to
Oh yeah, of course. Saka's
No.
got to be on.
Saka's not on the list at all.
be.
Oh, he is,
plays.
but
Oh.
number 4 on the list, you've got 2 and 3, no problem. Number 4, come on.
Age?
He was 16, 10 months
Walcott.
Oh yeah.
and 15 days. Nope.
He played when he was 16, didn't he?
Is it in the? Is it include the Carling Cup here we're talking about?
Yeah.
Got to.
Oh God, yes, there's hundreds of them in there.
There's so many like Nick.
Well,
Bentner
we
and players
handed
like
out
that.
academy debuts like they were going out of style back in the day.
Quincy.
Right. How can I help you all? No, it's not Quincy Owusu. Think of the start of the Invincibles run.
David
Very
Bentley.
good.
Jermaine Pennant.
Justin
Jermaine
Hoyt.
Pennant.
Oh, it's Jermaine Pennant.
That's my favourite.
It's always Jermaine Pennant.
Do you know who was next on the list, Cole? And these two would never have even heard of him. Paul Vasson.
Never heard of him.
That's it's just a sad story. But look in the 1980, Cup Winners' Cup semi-final. Just look that up. 1980 Cup Winners' Cup semi-final. It's quite a amazing story leading up to it, but yeah, quite a sad ending for him. But there you go.
So Carl has managed to win.
Have I?
Yeah.
How have you worked that out? It's literally no questions. It was a list.
There you go.
I think you point in on there who named the oldest player. I was the closest to naming the oldest because I had Pat Jennings at 3.
I think I said Jens Lehmann. I did say Jens Lehmann. He just ignored me for ages, and I went back to it.
To be fair, I think everyone said Jens Lehmann, but
I'm not convinced I saw Jens Lehmann play many times.
no, you definitely saw him a couple.
Having looked up his 2007-08 season, which would have been the only season I've seen him play, he was injured for large amounts of it.
Anyway, I was quite amazed at looking at that. Joe Mercer was 38, by the way, and 7 months old.
Banana. We've had some great older players as well as some unbelievable younger players over the years. But normally the older players, or well, maybe not always, but there's always a sign that there's an issue at the club, and that was it's 53. You know, and we won it. We didn't win anything till 71.
Yep.
Johnny Hollins came in. Johnny Hollins was great, but Christ, we were struggling.
He's about 14 on the list, by the way, Johnny.
But we were struggling. Who was the other outfield player you mentioned?
So you were right, Leslie Compton. So you had the 4 goalkeepers.
Back end as well.
Mercer, Compton, Lee Dixon, who was 38.
Really? See, I would never have had that. I always thought he still looks. He's always looked a bit younger though, isn't he? So
Keown was 37, nearly 38. And then you got 2 more goalkeepers, and then you got Dennis Bergkamp, who was 36 and a few days off being 37. I was really surprised.
I've got a question for you, not just you personally, Dad. Anyone know the youngest player to play for the women's side?
Is going to be a recent player? Is going to be someone like Wilbur Moyle?
I've got to go.
Taya Goldie and Scott. Ruby, whatever her name is, that went to Man City.
Oh,
maybe not for Arsenal.
Ooh. Still,
everyone used to play for us, though. That's odd.
That's the thing. There's so many. Yeah, exactly. I mean, Gemma Davidson was young when she was playing. But I don't know how old she is now. I don't know if she's still playing, actually.
Still playing now.
But
she's still playing?
Who? Gemma Davidson?
No,
Gemma Davidson.
Danielle Carter.
Dan Carter is still playing.
Was it her, was it?
No.
All right.
No. Shall I put you out your misery?
Yeah, go on.
It's Lauren James.
Now
Chelsea.
Reece James's sister.
Yes.
Yeah, we let her go because she's rubbish. So that's fair enough.
Yeah, that's so. And she's actually the youngest player to play in the WSL. So Arsenal have the record for the youngest players playing the Premier League and the WSL, which is a nice stat, along with them both being top of their respective leagues. What fun!
Oh.
Very good, Dad. Enjoyed that.
And where is away with the under-17s, by the way, the England under-17s?
Yeah, I did think that because he's had to be given special leave by his school so he could go.
Yeah.
By all accounts, he's an intelligent lad as well, from what I
should be if he's at that school.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good one that Saliba's training with Mbappe and he's doing double maths today. That was a good one as well.
Yeah, it was.
But yeah, that is going to be it for us today. Dad, thank you very much for providing that. It was very, very good. We'll feel free to provide us. I love a list, so feel free to provide some more of them. But yeah, thank you for that. Thank you all for joining me. We'll be back in a couple of weeks after the old North London derby, and hopefully we'll have 2 wins to discuss.
Oh yeah.
One for the women,
good
and one
grief,
for the
yeah.
men. But yeah, thank you all for joining me. Thank you all for listening. And until next time, it is goodbye.